I am Aloy Ejimakor, and I serve as one of the lawyers representing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in his long and difficult legal battle with the federal government of Nigeria. Over the past months, I have followed every step the government has taken, every document they have filed, and every statement they have made. And what I have come to see is not encouraging. There is a secret plan unfolding, a plan carefully shaped to keep my client locked inside the DSS facility no matter how the courts rule or how much Nigerians hope for justice. On the surface, the government continues to speak about the October trial. They act as though they are preparing to allow the court process to take its natural course. But the truth is different. Behind the public statements and legal motions, I have seen clear signs that they are not truly preparing for a trial that will end in justice. Instead, they are preparing for a trial that will only be another excuse to hold Nnamdi Kanu in custody. This is not the first time I have seen such tactics. Since his arrest and detention, the government has built a pattern of delay, of avoiding court orders, and of refusing to obey clear instructions that should have set him free or at least placed him in a proper correctional facility. Each time the court gives a directive, they find a way to bend it. Each time justice comes close, they twist it and create another obstacle. Now, as the October date draws near, it is becoming obvious that the same method is being prepared once again. The DSS is not a lawful place of long-term detention. It is meant for short investigations, for security matters that require brief custody. It is not a prison, and it is not where an accused person should remain for years while his trial drags on. Yet that is exactly where they have kept Nnamdi Kanu. The government knows this is wrong, but instead of obeying the law, they are building reasons to extend his stay in that facility. They hope to convince the public that the DSS is the safest place for him, but the truth is that their real interest is to keep him hidden away from the people, cut off from his family, cut off from proper access to medical care, and cut off from the wider world that demands his freedom. What makes this matter so serious is that the government has already shown that it is not guided by urgency. Justice delayed is justice denied, and yet they continue to delay. The October trial, which many believe will bring an end to his suffering, is not being handled with fairness in mind. Rather, it is being used as another tool to extend his detention. They know that once the trial begins, they can use adjournments, procedural games, and endless excuses to claim that the case is ongoing, and while it drags on, Nnamdi Kanu remains where he is, inside the DSS facility. Let me be clear, this is not speculation. It is not a guess. I have seen the signs in their filings. I have seen the way they argue in court. I have listened carefully to their words, and I have connected the dots. Their goal is not to move towards a fair conclusion but to hold him down under the cover of a pending trial. It is a carefully designed hidden plan, and if it is not exposed now, Nigerians may walk into October expecting justice only to be disappointed once again. The strategy is simple but dangerous. By keeping him in DSS custody instead of a correctional facility, the government keeps control over his environment. They control his movement, they control his visitors, and they control the medical help he receives. It gives them total power, which they are not willing to lose. That is why they are preparing to convince the court that he must stay there until the trial is over. But anyone who understands how trials in Nigeria work knows that a case can take months, even years, especially when the government itself is not in a hurry to conclude it. That is their real plan, to keep him locked up for as long as possible by dragging the process endlessly. I have raised these concerns not because I want to alarm the public, but because the people deserve to know the truth. Nigerians deserve to understand that the government is not as transparent as it pretends to be. They are playing a game with time, and the person paying the highest price is Nnamdi Kanu. He has already spent years in detention, and each passing day adds to the injustice. To allow this hidden plan to succeed is to give room for injustice to grow deeper in our land. As his lawyer, it is my duty to speak out before it becomes too late. Silence will only help those who plan to continue this unlawful detention. By exposing this hidden agenda now, I hope to alert not just the Nigerian people, but also the international community that is watching closely. Justice must not be turned into a tool of oppression. Trials are meant to bring closure, not to serve as excuses for endless detention. October is coming, but Nigerians must not expect that the government will suddenly change its ways. If they are not stopped, they will use October as a shield to cover up their real plan. They will talk about trial dates, but behind the scenes, their plan is to keep him exactly where he is. That is the reality I have uncovered, and it is a truth that must be faced with courage and with clarity. The federal government has made its intentions very clear, even if they try to cover them with polite language in court. What they truly want is to keep Nnamdi Kanu under detention for as long as possible. They are not interested in resolving the case quickly. They are not eager to follow the rule of law. Instead, they are holding on to one simple goal: to silence him by keeping him inside the DSS facility where his voice cannot freely reach the people. Why would they choose this path? It is because they fear the influence he carries. Nnamdi Kanu is not just one man standing alone. He represents a movement of people who listen to his words, who draw courage from his leadership, and who believe that his freedom will open the way to greater justice. The government understands this clearly, and that is why they see his release as a threat. Their thinking is that once he is out, his presence will inspire people again, and his message will grow stronger. That is what they are afraid of, and that fear is the root of their plan to keep him where he is. The tools they use are not new. They pretend that every delay is part of the legal process. They speak about safety and security, as if those are the main reasons for holding him in the DSS facility. But the truth is simpler: they want control. In the DSS facility, they can control who sees him, what medical treatment he gets, and even how much access he has to his lawyers. They know that in a regular prison or correctional center, there are clear rules, and the world can monitor his condition more easily. But in the DSS facility, everything is hidden. By keeping him there, they create a world where they have the final say over every detail of his life. It is also important to understand that the government is not just trying to win a legal battle, they are trying to win a political one. They are using the court as a shield while carrying out their own agenda. They know the case could be decided faster if they allowed the court to act freely. They know that respecting previous court rulings would have changed everything. But they ignore those rulings because their interest lies elsewhere. They want to maintain the picture that the case is ongoing, while at the same time ensuring that Nnamdi Kanu remains in custody indefinitely. This is why I continue to say that their focus is not on justice but on delay. The October trial is not being prepared as a true opportunity to resolve the matter. It is being prepared as another stage of detention. They will use adjournments, they will raise unnecessary motions, and they will push the court to waste time on side issues. Every delay means more days, more weeks, and more months with him inside the DSS. That is exactly what they want. The government also believes that over time, people will grow tired of waiting. They believe that the longer the detention continues, the more the public will shift attention to other issues. This is their strategy, to outlast the people's patience. They want Nigerians to get used to the idea that Nnamdi Kanu will always be in detention, and by doing so, they hope to weaken the support he has among the people. But this is a dangerous game. It shows that the government is willing to sacrifice justice just to maintain silence. What they want is also to send a message. They want other Nigerians to look at what is happening to Nnamdi Kanu and feel fear. They want to show that no matter how strong your voice may be, if you challenge them, you can be silenced. By keeping him in the DSS facility, they are trying to use his case as a warning to others. This is not justice. This is intimidation. And when a government begins to use the justice system for intimidation, it destroys trust in the rule of law. Another reason they insist on DSS detention is because it gives them flexibility. At any moment, they can decide who visits him or who does not. They can cut off communication when they wish. They can refuse medical help when they wish. In a proper prison, there would be records, procedures, and checks. But in DSS custody, everything depends on their decision. This power is what they do not want to lose, and that is why their hidden plan is to keep him there, no matter what the court says. I want Nigerians to understand this clearly. The October trial is not simply about hearing evidence. It is about whether justice will finally be allowed to breathe. But from what I have seen, the government is preparing to block that breath. They want to stretch this case, to drag it beyond reason, and to use every excuse to keep him in custody. This is why I say their true desire is not to bring him to fair trial, but to hold him indefinitely under the cover of legal process. The law is clear. No accused person should be kept in DSS custody throughout a trial. There are proper facilities designed for that. The refusal of the government to move him to where the law requires is a loud signal of what they truly want. They are not obeying the law, they are bending it. And when leaders bend the law, justice dies slowly. It is my responsibility to uncover this hidden truth, because Nigerians must not be misled. The October trial may look like hope on the surface, but beneath the surface, the government has already shown its plan. What they want is to continue detaining him, to continue silencing him, and to continue controlling his every move. That is why I am speaking out now. Because once we understand what they want, we can stand against it. Once Nigerians see clearly that this is not about law but about power, they will know the importance of demanding justice. What the government wants is wrong, and if it is not resisted, it will set a dangerous path for the future of our nation. As one of the lawyers standing for Nnamdi Kanu, I know very well that silence helps injustice to grow. If I see a wrong and fail to speak about it, then I have also allowed that wrong to stand. That is why I am speaking now, because what the federal government is planning for the October trial is not about justice, it is about delay and continued detention. If this hidden plan is not exposed, it will succeed quietly. And once it succeeds, not only will Nnamdi Kanu remain in DSS custody against the law, but Nigeria's justice system itself will be weakened in the eyes of the world. My stand is very clear. Nnamdi Kanu must not remain in DSS custody. The law says that if someone is facing trial, there are proper places where he should be kept. The DSS is not one of them. To continue keeping him there is unlawful and unjust. That is why I say openly that the October trial must not be used as a cover to extend his detention in the DSS facility. I also stand on the truth that justice delayed is justice denied. This is not just a popular saying. It is a principle of law and fairness. Nnamdi Kanu has already spent years in detention while the government continues to build one excuse after another. Each excuse only adds more months of suffering, and each delay only strengthens the government's control. My duty as a lawyer is to call this out and resist it, no matter how much pressure comes. I cannot be silent, because silence would mean that I accept the lie that endless detention is the same as justice. It is not. Let me be very clear. The government may believe that by keeping Nnamdi Kanu locked in DSS custody, they can silence him and reduce the voice of the people. But what they forget is that justice is larger than one man. If they can bend the law against one person today, they can do the same tomorrow to any other person. That is why this fight is not only about Nnamdi Kanu. It is about every Nigerian. If the government can ignore court orders, twist procedures, and use trials as excuses for indefinite detention, then nobody is safe from such treatment. This is why I stand firm. I want Nigerians to see that this case is bigger than politics. It is not about whether you support Nnamdi Kanu or not. It is about whether you believe in the rule of law. If the rule of law can be set aside for him, it can be set aside for you. And once that happens, justice loses its meaning. That is the danger we face if this hidden plan is allowed to stand. I also stand for truth because the world is watching. Nigeria is not an island. We are part of the international community. Other nations are paying attention to how this case is being handled. If the government continues to hold him in the DSS facility unlawfully, it will show that Nigeria does not respect its own laws. It will show that we are a nation where political convenience is stronger than justice. That is a shame we cannot afford. My stand is to prevent that shame by speaking up boldly and making it clear that the law must be followed. Some people may ask, what can be done if the government insists on continuing with its hidden plan? My answer is simple. The people must demand justice. Nigerians must not be silent. Public opinion is powerful, and when people rise to insist that the law be obeyed, it becomes harder for leaders to ignore. The courts must also remain strong. Judges must remember that their duty is to justice, not to those in power. If the court stands firm and refuses to be used for delay, then the government's plan will fail. That is why I will continue to bring these matters before the court, again and again, until justice is done. I know the government is afraid of his influence. I know they want to keep him hidden so that his voice does not reach the people. But fear is not a reason to break the law. No government should fear its citizens to the point that it twists justice against them. True leadership does not silence voices, it listens to them. By refusing to release him, the government is showing weakness, not strength. My stand is that Nigeria must not be ruled by weakness and fear, but by law and justice. I also want Nigerians to understand that this is a test of our democracy. A true democracy does not allow indefinite detention. A true democracy does not use trials as tools to punish people before judgment is given. If Nigeria wants to stand as a democratic nation, then we must prove it by the way we treat cases like this. That is why my stand is not just about one man. It is about protecting democracy itself. As October draws closer, I will not stop reminding Nigerians of what is at stake. I will not stop reminding the court of its duty. And I will not stop reminding the government that the world is watching. Justice must be done, and the law must be obeyed. My stand is that Nnamdi Kanu deserves his freedom if the court has ordered it. My stand is that he must not remain in the DSS facility against the law. My stand is that Nigeria must choose the path of justice, not the path of delay and unlawful detention. This is not just about a trial. It is about truth. It is about justice. It is about Nigeria's future. And as long as I remain his lawyer, I will continue to speak until justice is finally allowed to stand.